Fresh though, you straight. You fine.
Appreciate it. Oh,
CJ McCollum in
I had
studio.
no idea I was supposed to come on yesterday. I know you said that, but I didn't.
I was wondering if you heard
Mr. President,
me.
into the mic. There we go.
I was wondering if you heard me yesterday. I was like, yeah, I'm going to see you on our show. You're like, yeah, they had me here until 4 o'clock. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah, they hit. No one told me. I got a copy of my schedule, and it wasn't on there.
If one of the young
See,
Pelicans came to you and was just going to show up at practice and gave you that excuse, what would you say as the veteran leader?
I would say we all make mistakes, right, in terms of being late and things of that nature, but it's about not letting it compound. So,
Okay.
Is that what we're doing now, right?
2 days in a row, huh?
Jay is letting it compound. Jay's trying to make it worse.
No, I'm not.
honestly, I don't even have a schedule for today. They said it was the same as yesterday, so this wasn't on here on my schedule yesterday, so I just
Come on, see, Nuno.
Sabotage.
No, this is
I got
Nuno.
enough. I got enough emails about
I
having
assumed I
CJ
started
on
at 8
our
o'clock
show.
today,
We're good.
and I got here at 7:32.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you think of Clay's, as you remember, my Max fact last night was
Clay Day.
yesterday. Clay Day. Was that a Clay? I don't even know if that was a Clay Day, right?
A normal game for Clay. Like, what we're seeing from Clay right now is aggressiveness. He's got the pop, right? He's getting layups. He's getting to the paint. He's shooting deep twos. He's not just relying on the three. And I think he really relishes the opportunity to not only prove his doubters wrong, but to prove himself right. Like, he's worked extremely hard to overcome some tough injuries. He wasn't himself earlier in the season, and the type of injuries that he went through generally takes 2 years to recover from. He went through them back to back.
Right on time. We're about 2 years, give or take, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see him, he's celebrating, he's enjoying the moment, he's relishing the opportunity. And he goes 8 for 11 and 3. And the cool thing about the Warriors and the way they play is that this is sustainable. Like, this is a game in which they won, and Steph took 9 shots.
9 shots.
He was great.
This is sustainable for them. They can play like this consistently. They can get bench production. Draymond Green played the most Draymond Green game that we've seen from him probably all playoffs, and that was the difference in this series.
You know, CJ, you're one of the few guys in the league that you're an elite shooter, but you got a bag in your handle too. Like that hasn't always been the case, right?
Right.
Have you been seeing that element from Clay over the last couple of games, like where he's showing you that he can do a lot of things off the dribble as well?
Yeah, I think Steph going out and Poole kind of playing some, those are the only guys who can really create off the bounce. From a drive into the paint, draw to, use their gravity. Draymond Green has basically played point guard for most of this time here in terms of initiating the offense. Poole can get downhill. When he's making good decisions, it's great. When he's not, it's not so great. But Clay has really improved his handle, his ability to go east-west a little bit more. He generally was a 1-dribble, 2-dribble guy. Now you see him kind of like sizing you up, going through the legs. Even when he's not shooting the ball well, he's more comfortable shooting off the bounce, whereas historically, he's only shot, catch, and shoot threes.
Mm-hmm. That's what I always thought. The only thing you could really do against the Warriors when they're really got it going, not that Clay can't do it, but make him put the ball on the floor and make decisions. Not that he can't, but like that's not really what he's out there for. But if that starts to flip, what do you do?
I got to ask my one question about this team because Max and Key don't like to talk about the squad. Is Denver the best team in the West?
They've been the best team in the West all year, and I think it's funny. We kind of overlook them. We don't appreciate them enough consistently. And even me, I picked the Suns to win with them having home court advantage. Even if it goes 7, like we just feel like KD is so good, Book is so good, Mine is going to figure it out. And the reality is Joker is a beast, and he's unstoppable. The role players are playing extremely well. They have home court advantage. They didn't just steal 2. They whooped them. They controlled the game from start to finish in both games. Going back to Phoenix now, I expect them to get a split, and that series to be over.
Yeah. Key, you want to tell CJ now how you're bored by Jokic?
No. Well, he doesn't have his IFB in, so he can't hear. He can't hear.
Well,
me.
Jay, you tell him.
I'll translate for you. Key doesn't like the way it looks for Jokic. I fight this narrative all day long because it doesn't look like Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is like a 7-foot dynamic guard in a big man's body, and I don't think Key is as appreciative of maybe the things that you and I see basketball-wise because stylistically it looks different to him.
He just had 39 in 19 or 36 in 19 after having 26 in 17 or something like that. And
that's because he's really tall.
I don't think you truly appreciate his game until you have to play against him or you see it in person. And I think Wendy talked about this yesterday. He had already won MVP, right? He had already won one MVP. And Wendy went and watched him courtside and just seen the passes that he was making and how he was making them. On TV, like, it's whatever. But when you see it close and personal, you see how big he is, how strong he is, how good a shape he's in. Like, he doesn't look aesthetically pleasing on the eyes in terms
No,
of
he
like,
does not.
super muscular. He's not like Dwight Howard. He's not jumping out of the gym. He's not dunking unless he really wants to. It's all skill. It's all finesse. It's all footwork. It's patience. It's IQ. It's the stuff that you want to teach kids, like growing up. Like, this is how you play the game. Like, you set screens, you roll, you manipulate defenses. You learn how to shoot, be a 3-level scorer. He shoots off one leg. He got fadeaways. And his teammates enjoy playing with him, and he's got a good personality. And I think, although it may not be fun to watch for, like, the casual basketball fan, but if you enjoy basketball and study the game, you appreciate his impact, and you know that Denver's tough to play against. Looking at how they've played all season at home, let's say Lakers, I think the Warriors probably got this series because of how dominant they are, and I think they kind of figured out what they got to do going forward in terms of adding JaMychal Green to the rotation, having one big out there, lots of pick and rolls with Steph Curry. You win or lose like that, but generally speaking, they've won like that historically. So I think them doing that will get them to the next round, especially if AD can only get 10 or 11 shots. And that's when it gets really interesting. Denver with a home court advantage against a good Warriors team. It's going to be fun to watch. And I think that's when the world will really see how good Joker is, because that's the primetime TV slot.
Yeah, and plus they're going to put him in a lot of pick and roll, too, because that's the one question you have about Jokic, too.
Hard pass, Jay. Let him know.
He says hard
Key
pass.
says hard pass. Let him know. Meantime, if they'll have to beat the champs to
up a little bit, but anytime in playoff basketball you can go in and get a split on the other team's home court, you put yourself in the driver's seat. So, and the Warriors all season long hasn't been that great on the road. So, hopefully AD can come back to playing how he's been playing. LeBron is LeBron, and they have that home court out there in LA. So it'll be a much tougher Game 3 for the Golden State Warriors.
Marcus, I was talking to Key about this earlier this morning, and I was curious if you've ever met a superstar or played against a superstar that had extreme ends to their game, right? And the volatility was so different that it just bothered you, right? Like one game you would see, like on one end, I think he has a chance to be one of the greatest players game of basketball has ever seen. And then the other end, I'm like, are you like a JaVale McGee? Like, it's like that extreme gap between the two. Like, can't be like, look, the last couple of games.
JaVale
right?
catching shrapnel to
No, like not in a bad way. Not in a bad way, Camby, but you know what I mean, right? Like, just the level of talent and the production you get on the court. So, like, one game he has, last night, 11 points. The game before, 30 points. The game before that, 16 points. The game before that, 12 points. Like, it goes up and down. It's just so volatile. Like, what do you think that is about?
I think last night, a lot of credit has to go to Draymond Green. I think he was touching AD a lot, being physical with him every time he shot, touching him, hitting him, just making the game that much tough for him as compared to game one when everything just seemed easy for AD, hitting jumpers, tip dunks, points in the paint, stuff like that. But Draymond came with it. Even with Looting out of the lineup per se a little bit with him being sick, but I think Draymond did a great job on AD.
Look, Marcus,
Camby, you hear that, Key? He said he touched him a lot last night. You get touched in basketball.
But I've been saying that. That's what I said earlier, Jay. And you said, well, he's had other big, so to speak, play physical with him. I was going to ask Marcus, is this a different type of physicality because it's Draymond? Because Jay said, well, he's on the blocks and he's getting pushed around a lot with other teams, but this seemed different to me. It's almost like I don't know how to say it without making it sound like he was scared of Draymond or something like that. Like what?
No, I don't think he was per se scared of Draymond. I think Draymond just brings a type of physicality, and he has that dog in him, and he has that reputation of being physical. So the refs tend to let him get away with a little bit of pushing, a little extra shove here and there, and I think that's what it is. But, I expect AD to come out. He's a professional. He's an all-time great. And when he's playing well, the Lakers seem to take off as a team.
Marcus Camby with us right now on KJM. Marcus, so you had a long and very productive career. Like the Knicks thought, I guess you were getting up there or something, but you went and killed it for a long time. But you're 6'11". What was your playing weight?
Probably like 225 back then.
225. So like, thin like AD, right around the same size actually. So though you had a long career and a very productive one, you had a hard time staying healthy throughout an entire season, and some guys are built that way. There's, when you're that tall and everything, can you speak to, like, is part of it AD psychologically kind of saving himself or thinking like, I gotta, being kind of shell shocked from being hurt so often? Can you speak to that at all in your own experience?
Well, I know it's kind of tough for AD right now. I mean, every time he goes down to the floor, it's like, oh my gosh, is he going to get up? And I just know from a mental aspect, I know that can probably weigh on the individual and weigh on the player very well. But he's skilled. I'm sure he puts in the work in the off season to make sure that his body is right. But sometimes there's a freak accidents that happen out there, and something you can't avoid. But for him, I know it's tough. I know he wants to be out there. I know he doesn't want to have that label of being street clothes or some of the things that people are saying out there about himself. But like I said, he was coached by Coach Cal, a coach that I know very well, and I think he's going to be very resilient, and I think he's going to finish off the series strong.
Marcus Camby, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us this morning.
Wait, Camby, Cal get a championship this year for Kentucky? He got some boys coming in, man.
I know. I thought we was going to get the guy to transfer from Michigan. I saw Cal the other day at game 2, and it was always good running in Coach Cal. The other night he had 4 guys out there on the court with Bam and Quick and Randall and D Rose. So it's always good seeing Cal. But hopefully this is going to be the year we can turn it around. I like the kid DJ Wagner they got coming in. So hopefully we can make some noise this year.
Thanks, Marcus.
All right, man.
Thank you, guys.
So Jay, you said something to me. It's like, can we see that chart on AD again? Look at this
like
up and down.
EKG.
Key, it's an EKG. That should be his nickname. AD in the playoffs.
It's EKG. An EKG, dog. Like, no.
It's up and down. Look, it looks like a heartbeat. Look at this. That's a healthy individual right there.
His heart. Leave that man alone.
I'm saying it's a healthy. If that's your EKG, you're like, I'm in peak shape. That's exactly what a heartbeat's supposed to look like.
That's what we're calling it from now on.
EKG in the playoffs.